Peachy's Trains. Today we're going to start working on our mountain finally. So this area behind me is going to be the mountain. I'm really excited. I'm going to show you my materials and then we'll get started. So hang on just one second and I'll show you what I have to make mountain magic happen behind me. Okay, so as I've said before, I've never made a mountain before. I really don't know how to do it or anything like that. This whole experience is going to be a learning experience, see how it goes as we do it, figure out what works, what doesn't work, all of that good stuff. But I have done a lot of research into different ways that people have done mountains in the past and kind of some ways that have worked for other people. So with all of that research that I've done, I have kind of a game plan on how I'm going to make this mountain happen. So I opted to do the shaper sheet. I have two different sizes. Basically, I think this one is gonna go kind of in this under part here and cover that whole area because it's nice and short. I don't have to cut the shaper sheet down or anything like that. So we'll cover that area hopefully with this, and then the rest of the mountain we'll use the bigger size of shaper sheet. So I'm going to use that plus the shaper sheet plaster. All of this is Woodland Scenics. So again, that's just kind of what I've found for what I want to do with the mountain. Hopefully will work the best. Like I said, it'll be trial and error, but hopefully this all works. So I've got the shaper sheet plaster. I've got these really nice little mixing pans. They're silicone, so the plaster shouldn't get stuck in there or anything like that. And they're collapsible, so they're easy to store, so that's quite nice. I've got a few different tools to mix and apply the plaster to the shaper sheet once I get it in the position and molding and all of that stuff that I want. And then after all of that dries, I obviously have to color the mountain so it's not just a white shaper sheet and plaster color. So I have three colors I'm going to use. I'm going to use raw umber, stone gray, and then just regular black. I'm going for more of a stone mountain appearance rather than a vegetative mountain. So I feel like the colors I pick will help to promote that kind of color, that kind of terrain that I'm looking to make with this mountain. So we're gonna get that started here in just a second. I'm still in my Easter clothes though, so I need to change into something that is conducive to making a mountain. So give me just a minute, I'll get changed, and then we'll get started making this mountain. Hey everyone, Peachy from the future here. So this video took longer to make than I thought because it took longer to make the mountain than I thought. I was looking as I was getting everything ready to put together this evening. I started the mountain on April 9th. And we are now in June. So it was almost a full 2 months of building and experimenting and everything to get this up and running. And this video is also a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be. So I didn't take the time to go through like all the painstaking details of when I was building the mountain, but I did do a lot of explanation and kind of progress throughout. So the video is a little bit longer. If you don't want to see how I made the mountain, you can kind of skip more a little bit. I also put a cool slideshow together so you can kind of see the progress as it was going on in that slideshow. So it is time for the big reveal of the mountain. Are you ready? I am so excited. All right, so I have the smaller shaper sheet here, and basically what I'm planning to do is just get it, and I think I am gonna have to cut a little bit. There's a little strip underneath here where it's just not quite tall enough. So I think the first strip that I want to go is just between the tunnel portals, basically. So I have a tunnel portal on each side of the mountain for the main track train, and then the over top, basically there's going to be some tunnels also to go with the trolley. So kind of measure, and I'm going to do probably a little bit longer than what I actually need it, so I can crinkle it and shape it and do all of that good stuff. So I've got my scissors and I am just going to cut the shaper sheet about what I think the length that it's gonna need to be. And it is like a tin foil with cotton type material on top, so it's not the easiest to cut with the scissors. But all right, there we go. So I got my first strip of shaper sheet here, and pretty much underneath here it's gonna be almost like a sheer kind of cliff thing, because I have to make sure that I do have room for the train on this track in front here to run. So I'm gonna try, I think, to kind of shape it into more of like a mountainy kind of texture. And then kind of see where that leaves us with the length of it. Okay, so this tunnel portal keeps tipping on me, but I think I might have to cut it down just a little bit. But basically, like, as you can see, the shaper sheet holds it, whatever kind of position that you crinkle it into or fold it into, pretty well, actually. So that's good. I know on their thing they say, like, you don't have to use the plaster over top if you're not putting any weight on it, but I like the plaster over top because it will allow me to make kind of some rough cutting edges, that kind of stuff on the shaper sheet on the mountain. If I don't want it just like this, if I want to put like scratches in it or that kind of stuff, I can do that with the plaster over top. So let's see, I'm going to cut just a little bit off. Oh, it's cutting better now. Maybe I just had it at a weird angle before, I don't know. And so I will show this also in the video, but with these tunnel portals, they weren't quite tall enough, especially with it coming down from the incline on the other side there. So I just took some foam and cut it to the shape of my tunnel portal and just attach the foam to the bottom, make it a little bit taller, and the trains don't run into the tunnel portal any longer. So let me see what we see. So what I've kind of decided, and I was kind of placing some different things and trying to figure out how it's going to work the best. I'm going to take this kind of smaller piece like this and affix it kind of to the top of the portal and under the track like this, and then I'll make another piece, and I think the edge piece over here is probably going to be a part of the bigger mountain portion, and so then I'll do the same thing. But basically what I did, I just took a small section of the shaper sheet and then I cut out the little corner edge here, so it fits under the track and I don't have to like really bend the shaper sheet in kind of weird positions to get it to do what I want. So basically this little piece is going to kind of go right here, just like that, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. All right, so I've kind of fitted this side also with that smaller portion of shaper sheet cut up, all of that good stuff. This side I don't have as much space lengthwise away from the trolley track, and then I also have to work with the window being right here. So I ended up cutting out just a little bit more of the corner on this side to get the effect that I want, and that's just gonna kind of fit right into that little crevice there, connect down to that bottom piece, and then connect to the larger piece over top. And then as I was kind of doing this, I was thinking on the bottom part, instead of using the smaller shaper sheet that I have, which I might still have to use a little bit of it just to kind of get right where those wooden poles are for the trolley track, but I think I'm gonna use the bigger stuff and kind of bring that up. The mountain is gonna be pretty tall. Basically I want it probably about that tall, so it actually is either level with or goes over just a little bit with the background that we have on the wall over there. So basically that is the plan, but we've got the first stage kind of down, and I think what I'm going to do is take a little bit of the shaper sheet, put some plaster on it, and use some of those colors that I got to see how the colors work, how the plaster works, all of that good stuff before I plaster the whole mountain itself. So basically I want to make sure that my tester stuff looks good before I do anything permanent on the layout. So this is basically a rough mock-up of what the bottom layer of the mountain is going to look like before we kind of fill in some of this other stuff, but I really am kind of liking how the shaper sheet is looking. I might add some more crinkles and stuff like that to it as I'm working on it, but so far I think this is a really good rough first draft, mock-up, all of that good stuff for the mountain. It is kind of hard to do this right here because, like I said, I have to try to keep it a little bit more straight as far as up and down to fit in between the mountain and then this track here with the train there. So a little bit tricky, but we will get there. All right, so we're gonna add the plaster to the first piece here. So we have it all mixed up, and I'm just gonna apply some to the brush. I'm gonna start, I guess, in the corner. Pretty thick as far as consistency. I'm just brushing the plaster over top of the shell that I have shaped into what I need for the corner behind me. So I'm just gonna get this kind of all over. And here is just a closer in view of what that plaster looks like. I glued down the tunnel portals as well, so there's a little bit of weight that I have to keep it balanced while the glue on the tunnel portal is drying. So that's one side of the mountain, and here's the other side. So like I said, we'll see how it looks tomorrow. Okay, so I have the first two pieces of the mountain done. I ended up changing things a little bit from what I initially had planned, but that's kind of how this goes when you're doing something for the first time with scenery. You start doing it and you realize your idea wasn't really going to work the way that you thought, so you kind of just go with the flow, redo some things. So that's what we have right now. So I have two pieces in place. They are currently drying, and we're gonna run a piece in between connecting them basically. So the plaster was a little bit thicker than I thought. It definitely is nothing like painting. So if you think it's going to be, it's not. And it dries fairly quickly within about 20 minutes. So once you get that plaster mixed up, you really have to have a good game plan and start going, or your plaster might start drying on you. Which towards the end, I did have a little bit of an issue with that starting to dry, but not enough to where I needed to like re-wet it or remix or anything like that. So we'll let this dry overnight because, well, it's 11:30 right now, and I'll see what it looks like in the morning, and we can take a peek at it then. But so far, this is what we have. All right, so it's the next day, and nice and dry, and nice and secure. They're not going anywhere. Both sides. Looks good. This is where we're at so far. This is after day 2 of mountain building. So we have both of the tunnel portals done on both sides, and then we have the piece connecting them together. It's all plastered and fitted together, so basically we just need to let this plaster dry, and then we can kind of figure out how we're going to do the top of the mountain, how we're going to attach it, all of that good stuff. So very exciting. It's coming along. I'm really excited to see, how we go from here and the things that we come up with to make the area work in the way that we want it to. And it's really cool to see how the plaster turns a piece of basically crinkled up tinfoil that doesn't really look like anything into looking like rocks and mountain, and I think that is super cool. So it just is awesome. Just adding the plaster really changed how the mountain was looking this far. So very exciting stuff. I will keep you guys updated with more as we do. Here we have the next phase of our mountain. So we're adding the tunnels. Those are going to be stationary on top, and then we'll build up the top of the mountain, which will be removable. Right now we have the bottom, basically third of the mountain plastered and formed. That's what that's looking like. So there's a few different sheets that I plastered together. And right here, we're fitting the top part of the mountain, or at least a part of it, onto the base of the mountain. Basically, what I'm going to do from here is plaster this part up top and not connect it fully down to this bottom part here. I want the top part to be removable in case we have any kind of derailments or any work that we need to do behind the mountain. So right now the plan is plaster this, get that dry, and then I want to blend in this line here where the two pieces of the mountain meet, so you can't really tell that the top part is removable. So we'll get that worked on and go from there. Here we have most of the mountain done. We've got our tunnel portal over there, top and bottom. Tunnel portals over here, top and bottom. This section here is done and dry, all of that good stuff. And this is the line where you can see it's removable. We're working on putting the top of the mountain on right now. We're gonna have a radio tower up in the top back corner up there. So it's a little bit more flat at the top. Right now, the mountain is standing at about 28 inches tall. So a little bit over 2 feet. And my plan is to blend this line in a little bit better so you can't see it nearly as much as what we're looking at right now. So once we get the top a little bit more connected and done, I will show you what that looks like. So I'm working on the last part of the plaster for the mountain right now. This is a piece of tile basically that I'm going to use to set the radio tower on. So I'm going to plaster that into what's already plastered on the mountain. The color of the tile is very similar to kind of the color scheme of what I want the mountain to look like. So that works out super well. And then I have a level surface that the tower can sit on in that area to make sure that it's sitting the way that it should. So I'm going to start putting plaster around it, and I'm excited. So the mountain is constructed officially. We're waiting for some of the top parts to dry. I still have some work to do on it right now, but the main base part is done besides adding the coloring. So we can see underneath here, there's kind of a ledge up here, and that I designed to make it so when they put in the track, they blew out part of the mountain to be able to put the track down. So I thought that was kind of a cool add-in feature there. And then the top part I'm still working on. Like I said before, we're gonna blend in this line here so it's not as obvious when we can take on and off the mountain, all of that good stuff. And then the top I'm still working on. In that back corner over here, I'm gonna put a radio tower. So I'm gonna work on leveling that out a little bit, a 6x6 area for that radio tower to go. So yeah, we are almost done.
So this is the bottom of the mountain without the top on it upstairs, and I took off the tin foil where we had kind of used it, and you can see the little edge here, and that will help blend in the two pieces of the mountain better. So we're gonna put the color on this piece as well, and then after that dries, we'll go ahead and add the accents. We're starting the color process of the mountain. So right now I have the top piece out in the garage, and we're going to paint that in here. I also have started work on a little test piece here. So what I've decided is to do a gray wash undertone across the whole mountain first, and then go back in and use the other two pigments as highlight kind of colors and giving it more of a rock appearance. The gray base coat is dry, and now I'm going to go over it with the black. So here we go. So I had done 2 coats of the gray wash, and then I did 1 coat of black wash. It still really wasn't the color that I was wanting for the base of the mountain. So the washes that we were doing were about a 1:16 ratio of pigment to water, and we made up a darker gray, more concentrated formula, and I went over top with that, and that was more of a 1:2 ratio. So it gives the mountain a little bit more of a darker base appearance, and so I'm liking that a lot more. So that is where we're at now. So here the mountain is, everything is done. It has been painted, sealed, top is on, looking absolutely amazing. I'm super excited about it. Just missing the radio tower on the top. I'm thinking about putting maybe some mountain goats up there and maybe some climbers. So keep an eye out for that.
There it is. Isn't it absolutely beautiful? I learned so much during this experience. It was absolutely amazing and crazy, and just, it was so much fun building this mountain. There were times that I got frustrated because I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but we made it through, and now I have this beautiful 27-inch mountain behind me, and I am so happy with it. So let's take a closer look. Okay, so here is a nice close-in look at the mountain after it's been finished. Like I kind of talked about, we have the seam that I tried to blend the pieces together a little bit. It didn't work out quite as well as I wanted it to, so I'm going to go back in and try to fill in some of the areas that didn't quite do what I wanted. I also talked about in a couple of the clips where I was applying the coloring to the mountain. So that in itself was a whole learning experience, a whole thing that I had to try to figure out how to get the combination for the exact coloring that I was looking for. So I ended up doing a darker wash of a stone gray, I think. I had a couple different grays that I ended up using, and black. I didn't use the rust color at all to get kind of more of a stone rock color. I am absolutely blown away at how different the mountain looks with the paint on it and the coloring from just the plaster. It doesn't even look like the same mountain, to be completely honest. So it is amazing how much just adding color to something can change the look of it. I am so happy with how it turned out. The color is exactly what I was going for. But like I said, that was just a whole learning experience in and of itself, trying to figure out how to get this color. I have some things that I still want to put around the base of the mountain. I learned if you're going to do this, put something down on the grass mat before you start plastering. I had a plaster mess everywhere. You should have seen the grass mat. It took a lot of cleaning to get it looking presentable again. So before I colored, I decided to put things down to prevent that from happening with the color pigments. So lessons learned, but I'm so happy. I couldn't be happier. Just one more thing I wanted to add. This is what I had planned for this little ring the whole time. And I know some of you thought I was crazy and were wondering what the heck this little tiny circular ring was doing on our layout. But this, the whole time, from the very first Instagram post I posted of just the track and the circle, was what we were gonna do. So I hope it came full circle for all of you like it has for me. Enjoyed sitting through the process of me building this beautiful mountain and learning along the way as I was figuring out how the best way to do it was. I saw some awesome videos out there that were mountains being made, but not with shaper sheet. So it was kind of a new whole experience for me trying to figure out how to get it to work the way that I wanted it to. There are still some things that I want to work on with the mountain, some things that I want to fix. The seam blending that I was trying to do didn't work out quite as well as I was hoping. So I'm going to hopefully go back and try to fill some of that in a little bit more and kind of figure out how this is all going to go out. Obviously, I still don't have the radio tower up there yet either. I'm waiting for that to come in still. So that will also be added to the mountain, and I will definitely do updates as that happens. So it was, like I said, just an absolute fun, amazing project, and I have big plans for if I ever need to make another mountain again. So that's amazing. Like I said, it's been about 2 months since I started building the mountain. So there are a lot of other things that we've been working out on the layout, and we have made a lot of progress. So I'm very excited to show you that soon. I'm going to have an updated layout run coming very, very soon, so you can see everything that we've been up to for the past 2 whole months. I'm so excited. I hope you are too. Thanks again for tuning in. Thank you to all my subscribers, followers, everybody that supports this channel. I couldn't do without you. We'll see you next time on Peachy's Trains.